Well, I thank my friend from Montana, our chairman of this committee, and it was a real privilege to serve on this committee. Over the years, the size of the federal government has ballooned. While it excels in some ways, like keeping our nation safe, oftentimes it does not serve the American people well. And that keeps my constituent services office very busy in my back in the district. As a small business owner, I know how important it is to run effective and efficient operations. If you don't serve your customers well, you won't stay in business. But because the federal government is largely unaccountable, the only people who suffer from government inefficiency are the very people it is intended to serve, the American people. Far too long, we have let the executive branch seize authority and empower unelected bureaucrats. I'm proud to serve on the Republican Study Committee's Government Efficiency, Accountability, and Reform Task Force, whose goal is to develop reforms to improve the federal government in order to better serve American families. Prior to my service here in Congress, I served as the Georgia co-chair for the Fix the Debt Committee, which was a nationwide effort, bipartisan effort to identify ways that we could balance our budget. Our new report here in the GEAR Task Force highlights strategies to streamline government practices and remove waste, much like the Fix the Debt Committee identified. For example, we all know that Washington has a spending problem. If something isn't working, many of my colleagues would prefer to just throw more money at the problem. But when has that worked? We need serious government reform. In my business, we emphasize the importance of streamlining processes so we can maximize every dollar. We have a 5-year look-back procedure where we look at every dollar we spend to make sure that we're using every dollar in an efficient and manner in which those who invest, in this case the American taxpayers, get the most bang for their buck. Also, in our business, we have a balance sheet, an income statement, where we can actually run ratios that we can compare and see how we're doing against our peers. I mentioned that to someone on the Budget Committee, and they said, I don't think we've seen that in the federal government. So I come from the business community, and I came to Washington because we have got to get down to business. And I have identified, again, working on this task force, so many areas, and on the Budget Committee in RAC, so many areas that, frankly, we can be much more efficient at spending every dollar. And let me tell you, every taxpayer dollar should be treated like a shareholder. They should know exactly where and how their money is being spent. That's why I have a big problem with the appropriations process here in Congress. Yes, we kind of go through the motions here on the House floor, but, you know, we bog down and it becomes a four-corner deal where leadership on both sides decides, okay, these are the caps and this is how we're going to spend the money. And the appropriators appropriate to that number. And then we're given some 1,200-page spending bill 24 hours before we have to vote on it. That is ridiculous. And I have emphasized to my leadership that we will not vote like that again, or I will not vote on a bill like that again, that we should stand right here through the appropriations process and show the American people every place we're spending a dollar. The GEAR report lays the groundwork for this type of reform. Our report highlights specific ways we can make government more efficient and accountable to the people, including improving metrics to better inform decision-making, utilizing excess federal office space, leveraging duplicative government contracts and consolidating data centers, reducing security clearance processing delays, and much, much more. These solutions are common sense. and they should garner bipartisan support. I encourage my colleagues who have not yet read the report to do so. We have highlighted over 100 ways we can improve government and better serve the American people. We must change the status quo. That is why I came to Washington. Thank you, and I yield back.
I thank the gentleman from Georgia. I particularly appreciate his business experience here in the House and your participation on this task force. Thank you, sir.